leaking top insider stock trades every day until they stop us. October 27th. Remember, almost all insider trades are totally useless. We have to look through them to find those unscheduled and unusual ones that can be high signal and help us outperform. We'll start with Summit Therapeutics, which we already talked about on Friday, but now we've got another Form 4 filing coming in with the director buying $10 million of the stock. As you'll remember, they're raising $500 million, and they announced that $272 million of that $500 million is going to come from insiders. So far, we've only seen the two co-CEOs buying $500,000 of the stock each, and now this director buying $10 million of the stock. So we still have like $261 million more of Form 4s that we should see filed. Again, this is one I'm not personally super interested in because normally any of these public offering, private placement style deals tend to be a lower signal, and their data that came out recently was not very good. So overall, it just doesn't seem like the most compelling story, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a short-term gain just from all of these Form 4 filings that should be coming in. And then investors will see like, hey, all these insiders are buying, maybe I want to buy too, and that could cause a little bit of short-term momentum, but not for me. A slightly more interesting insider purchase at a biotech company, but still one that's not for me, is the director buying $100,000 of the stock at Turn Therapeutics. This director has quite good returns, averaging 31% one-year returns on his previous purchases, though his win rate is only about 60%, so just over 50-50. The interim CFO also bought $25,000 of the stock, but both of these purchases were due to the offering they made when the company uplisted to the NASDAQ recently. Again, these kind of public offerings, uplistings, private placements, all that kind of thing are lower signal insider buys on average. In this case, it's only moderately interesting because you do have the director who has a pretty good track record of buying, but also they're in the middle of some phase 2 trial data that is due to come out in 2026, maybe early 2026, which obviously could be a huge catalyst if that data comes out good. However, it's not quite compelling enough insider purchasing for me to be interested. And rounding out some of the insider purchases today, which overall weren't very interesting, is another $100,000 buy by a director at Greene County Bancorp. This is his second purchase this year after going 2 years without buying the stock, and he also has fairly good returns, averaging about 7% 6-month returns and 18% 1-year returns. This was also his second largest purchase ever out of 22 previous purchases, so this is actually a relatively high signal insider purchase. The stock is down about 20% over the last year. It's trading at a relatively low price to book value due to the stock falling 20% in the last year. So we've got an insider buying the dip here and an insider with a pretty good track record. Overall, that would line up for a pretty high signal insider trade. However, for me personally, I tend to avoid banks as I just don't know that industry very well. And obviously, the stock is down 20% in the last year with some pretty negative momentum. However, the very recent price action has been a little more interesting. So if you are interested in either price action stuff or you are interested in the banking sector, I think this is a pretty interesting company to look at. Find all the top insider trades at CEOWatcher.com.